It's time for Tuesday with Thompson. The Pete Thompson Show, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. You'll be filling in next week.
Next Saturday, right?
Yep. And then the following Saturday. No, yeah.
Yeah, back to back.
Yep. So PT this Saturday, and then you're filling in for him the next two Saturdays.
I'll do my best.
28th and the 4th.
All right.
So there's big shoes to fill.
Very big shoes to fill. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but
yeah,
I'll bring it.
8 o'clock in the morning. You have anything to bring?
Not really, no. A pillow?
Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. Pete Thompson Show. He'll be back this week, and then Ryan will be filling in for him for the following two, and then we'll be in the new year. And Pete Thompson joins us now on the Sports Badge Tuesday with Thompson. A little David Bowie for you there, PT.
MG, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I said a little David Bowie for you.
Oh, I like David Bowie. I'm a big fan, you know.
I'm doing well, thanks.
Yes. I did realize, oh, hi, Ryan. I did realize that the volume was down on my phone, and that's rare. I don't normally do that, but that would explain why Josh and I were having trouble hearing each other in the setup there at the beginning.
All right, well, that's squared away, and you're live here on the radio with us here, Peter.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you can hear me just fine.
Yeah. All right, PT. Confidence level against the Dallas Cowboys following two straight come-from-behind victories.
Would have been higher if Dallas didn't go out and just work over the Rams. I mean, I'm pretty sure I tweeted about that on Sunday, or maybe it was, I don't remember when I commented on that, but I know this, that the Dallas Cowboys that basically embarrassed the Rams, I don't think the Eagles have any shot of beating. But the Dallas Cowboys that have been the dysfunctional dumpster fire that we've seen leading into that game, I very much think they have a chance of beating. And, you know, as we know, it's a week-to-week league, and we have no idea which Dallas Cowboys will show up. I feel the Eagles are starting to course correct a little, but I also think that their quarterback needs – you can't keep counting on fourth-quarter comebacks. You know, how about you play well in the first quarter, buddy?
They don't even know what the first quarter is, but I like it.
Not that.
So, what are your thoughts on Carson, PT? I mean, are you...
Sounds like he thinks he stinks.
Yeah.
No. I don't think that at all. I mean, a guy doesn't stink when he makes a throw like he did to Miles Sanders in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
You know, the more that I've looked at that throw, the more that I thought, good Lord. I mean, that's like Canton kind of throw. That's like, you know, I mean, the great quarterbacks, you know, would attempt that. A Marino that had a cannon or an Elway or, you know, guys that could sling it. Carson Wentz, that's not it was almost like a parlor trick. I think I counted 3 Redskins and 1 Eagles player between Carson and Sanders, and yet he fit into that one little – they talk about tight windows, and then there's something that's about the size of the PT belly, and that's about how tight that window was, and not that my belly's small, but in regard to a football field, yes.
Okay, and it's do you think he has anything left to prove? Because that's what we're talking about. Yeah, like this season, because there's been plenty of critics, and there's a lot of factors around it. People are either defending him, giving those reasons, or people are saying, no, he's a top 5 talent. He needs to elevate and find a way to win like he's done the past 2 games. I guess my point is, if they lose against Dallas and they don't win the division, is that a letdown, and is it going to be a statement if he wins?
This whole season has been a letdown.
It has, but for him, I think it's still...
I'll give you something he needs to improve. Ball control. Hold on to the goddamn football. I mean, it drives me crazy how loosey-goosey he is with that thing. And you have to know that opposing teams are scouting him going, listen, if you get anywhere near him, you don't have to light him up to separate him from the football. Just tomahawk chop him, and it'll come out.
Yeah, he has definitely. I tweeted at one point. I mean, his pocket awareness on the one was. I mean, he was sitting there. It must have been 7-8 seconds, and that fumble could have cost him the game. Really,
it could have.
And luckily, he came back and kind of washed it away. But look, the one thing that has me more angered is I don't say angered, more so it's just baffled is the whole. I can't I'm not saying Greg Ward is going to the Pro Bowl, but I definitely think he is an asset that they could have been using for much more this year. And I don't know where he would have fit in when they had a full complement. But as soon as guys started to fall down or go down, and you had the opportunity to use him or sign Jordan Matthews or use him or activate Mac Hollins. These are the things that I question and say, man, this is a season that kind of slipped away from them because of decisions they made in-house.
100%. And you have to wonder, what are they looking at, in the sense that why aren't they giving these guys a chance? If you're that poor, if you're that receiver deficient, just throw a guy in there. How do you know how he can go up against NFL competition if you don't give him a chance? Boston Scott at running back is the same example too. This guy's actually come in and made a difference. Well, didn't they see any of that in training camp? Didn't they see any of that in, earlier in the season? I understand that it took injuries for him to get his chance, but it just seems like the Eagles have not just the talent evaluation problem of trying to find talent to bring in, but then when they have stuff within their organization, I think they have a problem identifying let's try this guy. Instead, let's go back to the retreads.
So what's the PT do with Jordan Howard? If Jordan Howard is cleared and back and ready to play, how does the Pete Thompson show advocate utilizing Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott?
Well, I think you use Jordan. First of all, if Jordan Howard can play, you play him. Okay, that's been a weapon that dramatically changed the Eagles' ability to win and eat up time and long drives. And Jordan Howard was on pace to have, if not a spectacular, a very outstanding season before he had the stinger and hasn't been able to play. How do you split the carries? Jordan Howard gets in there first. And you use Miles Sanders, what he can do, which is the shifty. Miles Sanders can make people miss. That's the thing. Jordan Howard's like the straight ahead between the tackles guy. And then you mix Boston Scott in there when you need him. Look, you can never have enough good quality running backs. That's the way I feel, especially at this point in the season when it's one pop or one ding away from one of the guys coming off and going, oh, can't do it. You got to put the other guy in. Fine. Have all three of them be talented, and there's no problem.
Fine. You going to the game, PT?
I am not going to the game. It's funny. My brother is, his family is 5. My dad in his 2 seats, that's 7, but they're up to 9. I think my brother had to actually go buy tickets because, and no, I'll be watching, just like you and me, and I'll be tweeting and watching and tweeting and doing all that, especially if they're losing. Have you noticed the PT's tweets tend to get a little more rapid fire when the team is sucking?
Yeah. All right. A couple quickies. Now, PT, you asked the Saturday question on the Pete Thompson show, and I was kind of interested because I was surprised to see this question from the Pete Thompson show.
So was I.
Do you give credit to Bret Brown for the way the Sixers have been playing? They've won what was it when you did the show on Saturday? Their record's
20-7, and they'd won 13 of their last 15.
Yep. How much credit does Bret Brown deserve for the Sixers' season so far?
Right, and it's funny. I mean, I just think that they vilify the guy. Will he go in the Hall of Fame for clock management, time management, end of game management, and strategy decisions? No. But, I mean, you have to give the guy some credit for moving the puzzle pieces around and motivating players. And, I just think that people love to rip on Bret when he makes a mistake, and they don't prop him up enough when good things are happening. And that was sort of the genesis of the question. Hunter and I come up with those. Sometimes I have one on my own, and sometimes, he and I will bounce one back and forth. And that was a Brody Thompson collaboration, or Thompson Brody, whichever way you want to do that. But and you saw the answers. Wade said at least 50%. He changed up the rotations and the timing. He kept the people on the floor, and somebody said 20%. Other guy said lots. So I mean, it's always nice to see that there's Brown supporters coming in, and then of course other people are like, no way. I mean, the most responses that I got though of all the responses, I thought were pretty pro Bret Brown.
Yeah, and one thing you have to give him credit for is the managing personalities and figuring out what is going to work. I've been critical of Bret Brown. I still will be, I'm sure, but that's something that I think the average fan, PT, doesn't see. All they see is, why'd you call a timeout, or why didn't you call a timeout? The play, the inbounds play late in the game was garbage. That's really all they're seeing. And I think he's not Gabe Kapler, but he's kind of close. He's never going to get credit, and he's always going to get blame.
I don't feel he's on the Kapler level.
No, but I think he's never going to get.
I don't think
he's never going to get the praise he deserves.
Kapler was 80-20 against. I think Brown is more.
I don't know if there's any like legit Bret Brown supporters out there. I think anyone you talk to is like, he's done a nice job, but if they fire him, I won't be against it. You know.
I mean, I think there's, well, at least on my Twitter feed, there's Bret Brown supporters. Pretty much every answer was all for Bret. You know, if things are bad, 100% of the basketball idiots blame Brown. If they're good, only a very small percentage give him credit. Sid said he gets 50% of the credit either way. Or other people say the coach is only, according to the Sixers Twitter, that coach is only responsible for the losses.
Of course.
He hasn't won a game yet, so he's 0-7.
Yeah, I mean, they navigated their way through beating Boston on the road without Al Horford, and I thought that was kind of a big boy win for them.
That was a big win.
Even though Boston still is not – I like Boston better this year than I liked them last year. A lot of people disagreed with me. I thought getting Kemba Walker was going to make them a better team. So I thought that was a very impressive win. Beating Denver, and who was the third team they beat in that little, back-to-back? They had the back-to-backs. Pelicans? Nah.
No, before that. It was before the Denver game.
They had another impressive win in there where they had the Denver game, they had the Boston game, and I forget who, but whatever it was. It was they had 3 out of 4, a back-to-back in there. They did beat the Pelicans one night, too. So
yeah, they had a good stretch there. Yeah.
I don't know.
You had a front row seat for that one, Gil.
Not front row. We were like mid-level.
But you were there.
I was there, yes. Friday night, we went to the game. So, I don't know. Look, but the one thing I will say is, look, I don't care about what your regular season record is. I think that's kind of like, but Milwaukee is what?
Did you say Toronto, by the way, in that run? I finally have the list.
Was that the other team?
Oh, Toronto. It was Toronto. Good call, PT. Yeah.
Yeah, 110-104 against Toronto on Sunday the 8th.
The Bucks are on, I think a 19-game winning streak. There's a chance
they lost last night.
Right. Oh, that's right. But there's a chance that the Sixers can be, 16-0 at home when the Bucks come to town?
24-4. So they're double. The Sixers have double the losses.
Yeah.
20-8. The Lakers are 24-3. Which I'll be honest to say, I didn't think the Lakers were going to be.
No, nobody saw that. I mean, you thought the Lakers had nowhere to go but up, quite frankly, but you didn't see them going that far.
Right, but certain teams take that 60-win Hawks team a couple of years ago. The regular season meant everything to them.
Right.
Certain teams, like the regular season, like last year, Toronto was like, whatever. The regular season is kind of for us. We don't really care. We'll get to the playoffs, and that's when we're going to turn it on. I feel like the Bucks at 24-4, they're going through the same motion they went through last year.
Same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it bother you to say, well, they're 24-4, and you're 20-8? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I don't know about the PT, but for me, it's like we talk a lot about the different rosters. This team has had so many different variations, and we knew going into this year it was going to take this team some time to piece it together. I mean, I would argue that the 20-8 record is almost impressive. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were 17-11, whatever it would be. What do you think, PT?
Well, not for nothing. I mean, if we're going to bring the Bucks into the conversation too, don't we also have to factor in that the Bucks get to play teams like Cleveland and Chicago on a regular basis? I mean, they're 8-0 against their division, and other than maybe occasionally the Pacers having a pulse, isn't their division like, hey, come play the Central and get well?
Yeah, their division is nothing special. But you can tell they're still bringing it every night, which not a lot of NBA teams do anymore.
All right, tomorrow night, Sixers, Heat. Jimmy Butler's back in the place. I'll be at that game tomorrow night. 97.3 ESPN has it as well. All right, PT Flyers. Farabee suspended 3 games. They've had a lot of injuries. They're on a little skid here. I know you're going out to the West Coast for that road trip there.
Yep.
We did the Flyers State of the Pod last night that will air on Christmas Day. And we asked the question, Flyers for real? We buying them? A lot of injuries. Here we go. As we get to the season where, all right, games are starting to really matter more. You're under the microscope. Points matter. What's your take with this banged-up Flyers squad?
Well, they're going to get – it looks like they're going to get Travis Konechny back tonight if all the tweets are indicating in the right direction that he's coming back from a concussion. So he's their leading scorer. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, the number 2 scorer is Oscar Lindblom, and they're doing a really special thing tonight. They're giving everybody a sign that says, "I fight for Oscar, I stand with Oscar," and the Flyers are going to wear purple jerseys, I believe just in warm-ups maybe, because I don't think they can wear them in the game, but they're wearing them in warm-ups. They're doing a lot of things to, and do I believe in the Flyers? I definitely believe in them at home. They're 10-2-4 at home. 3 of the next 4 games are at home. So, I mean, that to me, they are a team that's trending in the right direction despite the number of injuries. So, some of the guys they had on that road trip are, let's just put it quite bluntly that, they're Lehigh Valley Phantoms. I mean, when you're populating your lineup with the Vorobyevs of the world on a regular basis, you're not going to win a lot of hockey games. And, I mean, no disrespect, but Chris Stewart's watched more games in the press box than he's been on the field, or Andy Andronoff. I mean, David Kaze at least had, look, Jake Voracek was thrilled that Kaze got called up because he had somebody else he could talk Czech with. He gave a quote to the media the other day. He said, "Well, the only other person I can talk Czech with is my wife." So I was happy to have somebody who speaks my native tongue.
All right. Phillies won 81 games last year. Right now, do you feel that this is a better Phillies team than the one that ended last year?
Absolutely. And they're not done making their moves. I watched Didi and I watched Zach Wheeler, and they said all the right things, the funny thing is again, even in just the brief part that I heard of Girardi, God, I really like Girardi. I just think that alone is going to infuse some energy into the ball club. I mean, you really just, Philly fans respond to passion. Joe Girardi has passion. And then I think he pointed out, like, both of these guys played in New York. So it's not like the first sign of booing or the first sign of, like, hey, you made a bad play there, Zach Wheeler's going to go in his shell, or he's going to turtle up, or Didi's going to go into some slump or something like that. I mean, I think those two guys, and whatever moves they make, and the fact, if they can get Rhys Hoskins' head out of his BUTT, maybe they'll be able to fix him up, and you got to be able to find enough wins to get yourself into the playoffs. I think, at least. That's my take on it.
All right. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. PT, we're going to bring you into our headline segment here and kind of go over some of the big and see what the PT thinks, all right?
All right. I like this. This is fun.
All right, let's do it. So with the baseball talk, I'm going to transition into a baseball headline. And the headline is this: how MLB and their new 3-batter minimum rule will impact the game. So baseball's owners, Mike and PT, voted to make a major rule change beginning in the 2020 MLB season, requiring pitchers to either face a minimum of 3 batters or complete a half inning, a switch pushed by Commissioner Rob Manfred with an eye toward quickening the pace of play and shortening the length of games by reducing the number of in-game pitching changes. So real quick for the listeners on how it will work. Based on the reports when the rule was first introduced in March, pitchers will be required to either face a minimum of 3 batters or pitch to the end of a half inning, with exceptions to be made, of course, for injury or illness. The new rule means no more managers bringing in a pitcher in the middle of the inning, having him face 1 batter, then trudging back out to the mound to make another change. Setting strategy debates aside, who could really complain about this new rule? Thoughts?
I'm not complaining about it, and I'm all for things that can speed up the ball game. I mean, we've all seen the time where a ball game literally grinds to a halt because the reliever comes in and it's just change after change after change, and quite frankly, it's too much. So how's it going to change the game? Well, if you're the manager that's like, oh bleep, I got to get my guy out of there, and you can't, ask Mitch Williams how much he had on the fastball that he gave up to Joe Carter, right? I mean, if the guy's arm is jelly or he's not getting it done, I'm all for it. And to me, anything that speeds the game up, I'm a big fan of. So I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know that this is actually going to speed the game up.
I was going to ask that.
I think this is something that you see in the playoffs a lot more. I mean, yeah, you do see it from time to time, but I don't think it's a nightly, we're talking about maybe one different pitching change a game. I don't love it. I think, number one, I'm surprised the union allowed it because, I mean, you might see that lefty specialist lose a job, that I don't need that one lefty guy anymore to get one lefty out. You know what I mean? Like, that guy might be out.
Mm-hmm.
According to the numbers, the new rule would be a bigger deal in the National League because of the DH situation in the American League, where the National League has much more strategized stuff, so it could impact the NL teams a little bit more. But I think it's so gimmicky. Like, you got to now pitch 3 batters. You can't only, I mean,
isn't there an argument to be made what they were doing is a little gimmicky? I mean, I know it's strategy,
that's
but
the thing. I mean, if you guys look at how many pitchers there were, like, I have the stats up in front of me. Last year, there were 799 different pitchers to appear in a game. That's a new all-time record. And you think, oh, wow, new all-time record. Well, it's just like so-and-so is the highest-paid player in the NFL. Yeah, it changes every year, right? The record's been broken every year since 2013. I mean, when you go back to 98, the first year that they had 30 teams, it was 557 pitchers in about 4,800 games. In 2 decades since, now the number of pitchers per game's gone from 2.6 to 6.1 to 8.7. I mean, look, I know we're not going to go back to Robin Roberts days or Jim Bunning where the starter's going to go all 9 and you're not even going to have to get your bullpen up at all. There are going to be pitching changes. I get that. But they've gone way off the deep end of this, and this is baseball's way to try and regulate.
I mean, I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm not like, this is awful, this is horrible. I'm not like, this is going to be such a great change for this game.
It's not a game changer.
You're not bringing younger people in to watch the game. Those are the things they need to focus on more. This just seems like you're making a change to make a change, is my point. Like, you're not doing a change to make the game more attractive to younger kids, to make it a more exciting game. Now you're saying, well, we're just making a rule because we feel like we're doing something. It almost feels like.
Yeah, it's a minor change, but at least it's a start. At least
they're changing. Major change that I think is a minor impact to the game.
The overall product of the game, yeah. And how it could maybe increase viewers. I would agree with that. All right, another headline here. By Jamison Hensley on ESPN.
See, by the way, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
That could make the game longer. Guys faking injuries.
Oh, yeah. Like college players do on defense.
Right, like a guy who's like, he faced 2 hitters and now his third batter's coming up and all of a sudden he's like,
he pulled his hammy.
You're right, exactly. You got the trainer walking out to the mound so that he can give like a
that'd be brutal.
So he can give like a scouting report because he's a righty facing a lefty. You know what I'm saying?
Very good point. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. All right, so Jamison Hensley put this on ESPN.com today, and the article is titled, "Is Lamar Jackson putting up the best season ever at the quarterback position?" So I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis here. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson essentially ended the NFL MVP debate last week when he put up another 5 touchdown passes and broke Michael Vick's single-season rushing record for a quarterback. If he gets to 35 to 40 touchdown passes and what he's done running the ball, Lamar has to be in the conversation of the best season by a quarterback ever, said former NFL MVP Kurt Warner.
Well, Steve Young's 94 season is regarded as one of the greatest of all time. 3,900 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He completed 70% of his passes. He had 293 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns there. I don't know. Do those numbers dwarf what Lamar Jackson's doing? I don't think so.
I mean, you could pick a decade, too, and find a guy, Montana in 89, or like you said, Steve Young in 94, or Brady in 07, or Peyton Manning in 13, or Mahomes, with his 50 touchdowns and the 113 rating. I get that they're gushing over this guy, and I think they deserve it. I think he deserves all of it. Plus, since we're on 97.3 ESPN, got to give a shout-out to my man Greg Roman that occasionally will text me back when I say hello. He's the Lamar Jackson whisperer. Holy Spirit, Greg Roman. That's got to be a difference. Listen, he's got a right guy guiding him.
So, I don't know. What were his numbers again?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll get to it real quick. So he separated himself by being a very efficient passer, 112 rating.
That's exactly what Young's rating was, 112.8.
Wow. He's a top 10 rusher. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to rack up 2,500 passing yards and 1,000 yards rushing.
And his rushing stats dwarf basically any of these other seasons that are out there other than...
I think that could tip the scales.
Right. Other than Cam Newton had 636 and 10 touchdowns one season. The
And
year
that's
that he
where
won
this
the MVP.
Jamison Henley guys really paints the picture, or the picture for you, because he says he's running the ball like Barry Sanders, but he's throwing touchdown passes like Tom Brady. Listen, you have seasons where a guy's slinging it, but to be able to sling it and run the ball so effectively, to do both, that's why he's so lethal.
Cam Newton had 3,800 yards,
SI cover,
35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 99 passer rating, 636 rushing yards, and 10 touchdowns rushing. That's kind of the Jackson season we're looking at, but I think Jackson's is better than that.
Jackson's is better because he could also become the first ever to finish with 1,000 yards rushing and 100 passer rating.
I think Henley onto something.
I think he is,
We
too.
might be watching the greatest season ever by a quarterback.
Crazy.
Yeah, how many times do you have the quarterback that has a 100-yard rushing game, and he's throwing one game he throws 5 touchdown passes. He's had 3 games where he's had 5 touchdown passes. Then he has 100-yard rushing games. It's a sick combination.
I think
we've never seen it.
I think Brady had the best passing season. 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4,800 yards. The best just pure passing season.
117 rating, too, yeah.
I think Brady that year was the best passer, but this combines passing and throwing. I think this might be the best season we've got.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, I'm going to get in one more headline here. You boys ready to wrap it up?
Sure.
All right, let's bring it. So I'm taking this from the Inquirer, going around the horn here. So Sixers Kyle O'Quinn says he didn't know the Instagram post he liked was from Trey Burke's father. So here's a little backstory here, guys. Trey Burke's father, Alfonso Clark.
This story is unbelievable.
Posted on Instagram. All right, good. So he posted on Instagram his desire to have his son traded. His post read the following: "Man, get my dude off this team. You're killing him. They will not get out of the East without bench scoring. Free TB23, please." That's his initials and his number. And Kyle O'Quinn seems to be caught in the middle. I don't think that's the lead of this story, but he said, "I like pretty much everything on Instagram and social media that is Sixers related." O'Quinn said after practice, as they're preparing for the Heat. "That's why I follow those pages. I think they support us during good times and bad times. I didn't realize it was Mr. Burke's account."
It doesn't matter that it's Mr. Burke's account.
Exactly.
If it's any clown liking it and you're also liking it, you're basically supporting the fact that you think this guy should get himself out of here.
See, I don't look into likes on Instagram and social media that deeply. I think it's a little bit overblown.
I'm with Gil. You have to be a responsible liker or tweeter, and I think this is it's easier to apologize for forgiveness than ask for permission kind of thing. Where Quinn's saying "Hey, you know what? It's not like I retweeted or commented on it or shared my thoughts." Well, guess what, dude? You didn't have to share your thoughts. By liking it, that is sharing your thoughts. You support the post.
Yeah, see, it's funny because PT and I are on the opposite ends of the spectrum on the social media in certain angles. Facebook, I don't share, nothing.
Yeah,
I'm not a commenter, a liker, a share, Zippo. PT says happy birthday to people he's never met before in his life. So I say if I liked one thing, then I got to start liking everybody's stuff. And then someone will say to you, "Well, you didn't like my thing." So I just don't like anything.
See, Instagram is a little bit different social media rules with the younger crowd, especially. With Instagram, it's kind of an unknown rule that if your friends or anyone you know posts something and you follow them, you need to like it. It's just support of that person. But with this, it's a little bit different.
I don't even know how to like something on Instagram.
Just double tap it, man. Come on.
I did that in college a lot.
Just tap it in.
Tap, tap, taparoo.
I don't know what. I don't. I'm just. I'm out. I'm out on the likes, the this, the that's. The only time I'll comment typically on Facebook or something is if somebody's asking for advice or help or something and if I have
like it's a direct reach out to you.
No, not necessarily. But somebody might ask a question does anybody know?
Oh, okay. A good place to get a
something
French onion soup or
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in on that.
You're all in on that. I think the story there is more about Trey Burke's dad than it is Kyle O'Quinn. But
I think
if I read the story right too.
I don't care about Burke's dad. He's an idiot for being involved, but he's insignificant here. Quinn's on the team. So now Quinn's got to look at the other guys and say, yeah, I think this guy should want to get out of here too. My question is, why isn't Burke playing more?
Nah, he just doesn't. I don't know. I like him as a player. He's instant offense, but I just don't think he really fits what Bret Brown wants to do. And James Ennis is playing well. Mike Scott.
Well, who should get the minutes, him or Neto?
It depends what you want to do. Neto's a better point guard, but Trey's a better scorer.
All right, Pete Thompson show this Saturday, 8 a.m. That's the night. That's the morning after the holiday party, Pete Thompson.
That's right. Don't be trying to slip me a Mickey or anything down there, MG. Don't be like, I know you're not a big shot guy, but don't be trying to say.
Yeah, I don't force anybody to do. Hey, I don't force anybody to do shots. I'm not that guy.
PT, no one has to force you to have a good time. You know you're going to be in the middle of it.
That's true. By the way, shout out to the guy that I saw in Chick-fil-A that said, "Are you the PT?" I'll be listening later. That was very nice to see him. He said he listens all the time.
Hey, by the way, I wanted this breaking news. Pete Thompson, I thought of you when I saw this. There's a new downward tilting toilet designed to become unbearable to sit on after 5 minutes. They say the main benefit is to employees and improved productivity. This is different from what you said.
Yeah.
Now, he told me that there was a place given the smell test.
Did you hear about that, PT?
What?
So,
first of all, I would never get a toilet that you have to get up on a time limit. I mean, you should be able to sit there as long as you humanly want.
Yeah, this is This is downward tilted, designed to become unbearable to sit on after 5 minutes because the 13-degree sitting angle causes leg strain after 5 minutes.
Jeez.
So you're going to want to get up off the hopper.
That's cruel and unusual.
Now, you said that you found a place that after a certain amount of time,
yeah, so
they're going to give the smell test.
Some company, it didn't name which one, but employees that are in the stall for more than 10 minutes, I guess there's someone with a stopwatch outside the stall. I don't know how that works, but 10 minutes or longer, they're going to send someone in to give a smell test. And if they feel like you were wasting time on your phone hiding in the stall, you'll be reprimanded.
Both of those are like toilet Gestapo. I have a whole problem with that. We are just dying and decaying as a society rapidly before our eyes.
Peter,
this is awful. That time is my time.
Yeah, but you're wasting company time by sitting in there. All right, we got to go.
Details.
Pete Thompson, 8 a.m. Saturday morning, The Pete Thompson Show. Take care.
All right, see you guys.